just wanted to read an excerpt from a book that I found that says something about someone with my condition, I guess, since the psychiatrist diagnosed me with paranoid schizophrenia. It's from Transhumanism, The History of a Dangerous Idea. Introduction. Paranoia. The greatest success of so-called democratic societies in the developed world in escaping the dissent and criticism that destroyed failed experiments like the Soviet Union has been their ability to disguise their systems of political control as independent from the state. The problem is their people's almost sole reliance on these conventional sources of information, such as the education system and the free press, which, unbeknownst to them, operate from an unrecognized central locus of control. The truth, though, is far stranger than fiction. The masses have been fed, so strange in fact that it possibly to easily denounce all those who say otherwise by labeling them as conspiracy theorists, comparing them to schizophrenics suffering from paranoid delusions. Derived from the Greek words schizo and phren to mean split mind, and often confused with multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia is a mental disorder whose common symptoms include false beliefs, confused thinking, auditory hallucinations, reduced social engagement and emotional expression, and inactivity. In other words, schizophrenia can be considered to be characterized as abnormal social behavior and failure to distinguish reality. While some forms of suspicion are certainly pathological, there is a danger when those in power are in position to decide what is real when it comes to political truth, as it may be used as a pretext to suppress critical thinking. For example, the World Health Organization's 10th revision of the International Statistical Classification of Diseases and Related Health Problems lists the characteristics of paranoid personality disorder as including preoccupation with unsubstantiated conspiratorial explanations of events, both immediate to the patient and to the world at large. The label confirms the concerns identified by the British Medical Association that psychiatry possesses a built-in capacity for abuse that is greater than any other areas of medicine. The diagnosis of mental illness permits the state to detain an individual against their will and then insist on treatment in his or her own interest and in the wider interests of society. Such abuse was discovered in 1969 when the Soviets were found to be using antipsychotic drugs to punish and torture dissidents. However, as indicated by Robert Whitaker in the Mad in America, Bad Science, Bad Medicine, and the Enduring Mistreatment of the Mentally Ill, the United States shouldn't have been so quick to throw stones. At the time, the United States shared with the Soviets the rank of most patients diagnosed with schizophrenia of all the developed world, where labeling also had its political uses. Many of those diagnoses could have been biased. In 1958, the first African American to apply for admission to the University of Mississippi was committed to a state mental hospital. Additionally, in the early 1970s, American institutions were routinely using neuroleptics to quiet the mentally retarded, the elderly, the juvenile delinquents. Various cases emerged in Massachusetts, California, New Jersey, Ohio, and others that were filed by patients who fought to denounce forced neuroleptic treatments as a violation of their constitutional rights. In the 1970s, Martha Bell Mitchell, wife of U.S. Attorney General John Mitchell, was diagnosed with a paranoid mental disorder for claiming that the administration of President Richard M. Nixon was engaged in illegal activities. Many of her claims were later proved correct, and as a consequence, the term Martha Mitchell effect was coined to describe mental health misdiagnoses when accurate claims are dismissed as delusional. Madness. In Paranoia and Conspiracy Theories, Dr. Alan Schwartz on mentalhealth.net asks an unintentionally theoretical question. What are the reasons for these beliefs and plots, and why do they all involve government cover-ups? This is followed by the required disclaimer. First, it's important to say that conspiracies do happen. The unanswered question is, when is the study of conspiracy legitimate inquiry, and when is it paranoia? While conspiracies are by their nature secret and often intricate and complex, or even bizarre, they may be difficult but not necessarily impossible to prove. Rather, the suggestion that the consideration of the possibility of a conspiracy is paranoia is a cowardly ad hominem fallacy employed by the media to stigmatize such debate. In Manufacturing Consent, Noam Chomsky remarked that the phrase conspiracy theory is one of those that constantly brought up, and I think its effect simply is to discourage institutional analysis. On the contrary, constant suspicion of activities of those in power is the only true expression of mental health. Any populace is only as good as the people who rule them. All worldly power is fallible and must be kept in check by vigilant citizenry. It is forgetting our individual responsibilities for social and political activism that is our collective ruin. However, because the media and academia completely ignore cases derided as conspiracy theory, those who suspect a hidden agenda are left to fend for themselves, and their amateurish research skills often lead them into absurd fantasies, giving conspiracy research a bad name. Nevertheless, while not as far-fetched as many of their claims will propose, even the most superficial investigation begins to reveal a mountain of evidence in support of much nefarious activity infecting current systems of power and the degree to which popular culture is sugar-coated Disney fantasy. The truth is a bizarre history that involves the influence of secret societies who follow a coterie of stage superstitions and who are guided by a grand ambition of achieving global power through superstitious means. Paradoxically, while serving as the same label used to dismiss criticism of the pernicious influence these secret societies, the development of use of the term schizophrenia derived from a tradition in psychiatry which is at the root of their occult ideology, currently making itself known as transhumanism. Schizophrenia is for them taken to embody the state of consciousness attained by mystics of old, like the shaman of Central Asia or the participants of the ancient mysteries. Taking Friedrich Nietzsche as their model, madness is perceived as an emblem of the philosopher who, in the face of apparent meaninglessness of existence, dared to confront the bewildering confusion of thoughts and possibilities that ensued, and was therefore blessed with a temporary glimpse at the higher insights before he finally cracked. The experience is aptly portrayed in the scream painted by Edward Munch in 1893, which, according to Munch's biographer Sue Prideaux, the scream is a visualization of Nietzsche's cry, "God is dead and we have nothing to replace him." Nietzsche exemplified for the generations of his followers a belief in the mystical powers of madness. It was his own parable of the madman that he put forth his famous declaration that God is dead, suggesting that those who dared to apprehend the truth were perceived as mad, when it was the rest of society who were truly insane. As Nietzsche wrote, all superior men who were irresistibly drawn to throw off the yoke of any kind of morality and to frame new laws had, if they were not actually mad, no alternative but to make themselves or pretend to be mad. I'll come back and read more in a different video. Love you. See you. Bye.